We're all set.
Okay. I will call this meeting to order. This is the March meeting of the City of Bowling Green's Planning Commission, and Jamie, please call the roll.
Mr. Bhatti? Ms. Broadwell?
Here.
Ms. Ennis?
Here.
Mr. McComber?
Here.
Mr. Phillips?
Here.
Mr. Remus? Ms. Sleek? Mr. Spittler?
Here.
And Mr. Stalter?
Here.
Thank you. We have the minutes that have been passed out ahead of time from last month's meeting, which I apologize for missing, but had some babysitting duties down in Cincinnati. And everybody's had a chance to review those. Are there any corrections or additions or deletions? Okay, the minutes are then approved as they were passed out. Lobby visitation. I won't explain what that's for, given the audience here. I think you know. Anybody want to say anything? Nope. Okay, lobby visitation is closed. We'll move on to our business. We have an annexation request for 2.965 plus or minus acres located at 13055 Bishop Road. Parcel number R63-510-000004200. The southeast corner of Bishop Road and North Dixie Highway from Plain Township, City of Bowling Green petitioner. Heather, you want to tell us about that?
Absolutely. This is a request by the City of Bowling Green to annex the electric substation at the corner of State Route 25, North Dixie Highway, also known as, right there on that southwest corner. This is something that came up while we were working with Abbott on their project, and it seemed like something we just want to clean up to get more of the city properties that are adjacent to the city within our corporation limit. So there really is nothing else really to describe on that unless you have any questions.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. The only surprise to me was that that parcel wasn't already part of the City of Bowling Green.
Yeah, me too.
I just assumed it was. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, then I will make a motion that we recommend to City Council that we annex that piece of property.
I'll second that.
Okay? Jamie, want to call for a vote?
Ms. Broadwell?
Yes.
Ms. Ennis?
Yes.
Mr. McComber?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Spittler?
Yes.
And Mr. Stalter?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. If I counted right, there are 6 of us here, aren't there? Yeah, 6.
Yeah,
0.
6.
Next, we've got to assign some interim zoning to that piece of property. We do have some choices here. Heather and I were talking about this a little bit, and Joe, before the meeting. It's currently zoned commercial, so that would certainly be one option. There is another substation down the road at, is it Bremen Bishop?
Correct, yes.
Bremen Bishop, that's much more recent, and it has the I&E zoning, the innovation and employment zoning. Or you could even make a case for maybe institutional. So, Heather, as we discussed it before the meeting, you're pretty ambivalent about any of those three. Anybody have any thoughts to prefer one over the other? My first inclination is simply to say, well, the same type of property, electrical substation, just down the road's I&E, why not do the same thing here?
I would go along with that.
Objection.
Anybody?
It doesn't matter.
I don't see that it makes a lot of difference, but that's one justification for that particular designation.
Bob, do me one favor and put your microphone down a little bit.
Sure.
Is there no, if there's no preference for the city? in
Correct. I talked to the
general,
utilities director, and he had no strong feelings either way. He committed that this is a city property that will likely be a substation in perpetuity, unless someday we have electric that's way different than this. It's likely going to be there for a very long time. So he had no concerns. It's a utility allowed by right in any zoning district, quite frankly. So it's really not an issue for the city, whatever it ends up being zoned.
Yeah.
And everything around it is commercial currently.
Yeah,
Yep.
that would be the case really for going with commercial, I guess, because there's a considerable amount of commercial property around it.
I guess that'd be my only thought, just to leave it as commercial if that's what it,
Yeah,
rest of it is.
I kind of
don't know
lean
that
that
matters.
way, just for
Okay.
the contiguous nature of it.
okay. Sounds fine to me. Why don't I make a motion then to assign the commercial interims, recommend to city council the commercial interim zoning for this piece of property.
I'll second it.
Okay, Jamie?
Ms. Ennis? Ms. Ennis?
Yes.
Mr. McComber?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Spittler?
Yes.
Mr. Stalter?
Yes.
And Ms. Broadwell?
Yes. Excuse me, yes.
So also passing by a 6-0 vote. The last real piece of business we have is a list of projects that are passed out to us before the meeting. Public construction that's supposed to occur in 2024 and beyond. As Heather explained to me before the meeting, these are not the only projects that would go on in Bowling Green this year, but these are new ones that we have not approved before, have not come to us before. We have some others from the past years that are still in the construction stage. Anybody have any questions about any of these projects? Any qualms, any?
I really appreciated getting seeing all the pictures and not just the
Yeah.
description, so.
While I have your attention, I don't know if any of you have been able to look at the city website. We have a really great feature on there where anybody can look on our webpage and look for capital projects. It actually shows the cost, how it's being paid for, a map of all the projects, and the anticipated timeline. And if you want me to show you quick, I can do that. Otherwise, I did put that in the memo to go under the residents tab, and you're able to see that capital projects map and information. And again, I think it's a really neat tool that we should all know about. And anytime you're curious, I see cones going up somewhere. You could go onto this page and take a look. So you can even look at current projects, future projects, and completed projects. And I think it's just important as Plan Commission members, you can also spread the news on that. If a neighbor's asking you questions about something beyond Applebee's, you can say, hey, pay attention to this.
No, Applebee's is all my neighbors ask me about.
Well, road projects are important too. So anyways, I would encourage you just to kind of look around and get familiar with that. And I think it's a great tool.
Okay.
I do too. Thank you.
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you, Heather.
It had to take a lot of time and effort to put that together, so.
Yeah, we have a lot of different team members involved in this, so it's a great project to, again, really communicate to the public what's going on.
Okay, with that, again, we'll make a motion that we approve this list of public construction projects as passed out to us.
I'll second.
Okay, Jamie?
Mr. McComber?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Spittler?
Yes.
Mr. Stalter?
Yes.
Ms. Broadwell?
Yes.
And Ms. Ennis?
Yes.
All righty, thank you. We're getting close to a record here. We don't have a report from you, Judy, I understand?
No, you don't, but we haven't met for a while, but we're going to be meeting next Wednesday, so.
Okay.
You won't be so lucky next month, you'll
All
hear
right,
from
we'll
me.
look forward to hearing from you then.
I bet you do.
And Heather, you said a brief report for us?
I do have a brief report. So our zoning permits so far this year are at 49 total permits compared to 25 at this time last year. However, I have noted that is bumped up a bit higher because we are collecting permits for legal nonconforming uses, which is according to our new zoning code to do so. And even without those, though, we would still be a bit higher than we were at this time last year. We've had 6 single-family housing starts, and that is compared to 4 at this time last year. As far as new commercial industrial construction, we have not issued anything new for those permits since last time we met. We do have some in the queue, so we still have Quick Trip new construction. We have Precision Alloy in addition at 726 Innovation Drive. Ohio Logistics has applied for an addition at 134 Woodgate Drive, which they're not even opened yet. They built a building and then ended up with a user that needs more space. So it's kind of interesting that they finished and then needed to add to the building again. So we're reviewing that now. That's at 134 Woodgate Drive, which is, again, is a new road over by Woodbridge. And then Brat House has applied for an addition. That's at 115 East Court Street. And then we have some site alterations that have been applied for Harbor Freight at 1080 South Main Street. For subdivisions, we just received a new replat for Interstate Commerce subdivision. That was basically resubmitted according to staff comments. That's at the southeast corner of East Booster and South Dunn Bridge that staff again is reviewing. We received a construction plan for Plat 10 of Cogan's Crossing that staff is reviewing. We just approved Plat 9 in December, and that's under construction, so that subdivision's moving pretty quick on getting the infrastructure in the ground there. We also have a construction plan for Stone Ridge Plat 9 that was just approved, and we have a construction plan for Wood Acres that was also just approved, and that is under construction, just started, which is on Gypsy Lane by the Wood County Board of DD Buildings. As far as the planning documents, we're still working on updating our access management policies and guidelines, early stages, and again, the subdivision regulations we're going to be updating, but that's probably not going to happen until I'm guessing mid-24 since we have so many large projects going on. As far as a city council update, they've set a public hearing for the annexation that you recommended approval for, which is NIMS and North Dixie. That was property owned by Abbott. That will be April 1st at 6:45. Just a heads up, I spoke at the Chapman Learning Community. It's a leadership class, about 50 students on February 14th, and that was really fun for me to hear from all these students, and they had really great questions, and a lot of it related back to Planning Commission and just in general how the city operates, and I had just a kind of a fun time talking to younger folks in all kinds of disciplines and all these commonalities of how important local government is and how really a lot of the action happens right here in our own town. So it was really fun to share with them. I also will be speaking at the Chamber of Commerce Governmental Affairs Project Team meeting, which is next week. They want to hear about the new zoning code and housing. So I think that will be fun too, to share all the things we have going on. And then as far as the Historic Preservation Commission, just a heads up, they are considering recommending to City Council their first historic district. And basically, we sent our first packet of information to owners on North Maple Street and got those results back, shared it with the Historic Preservation Commission, and they turned out pretty overwhelmingly positive, about 60% yes, 40% no. And so again, I'm anticipating that will end up in your laps to review that and recommend that back to City Council. So again, just a heads up on that. They also are busy planning Historic Preservation Month. The History Lives Here yard signs again, if you've noticed those around town last May. And I gave you a little sneak peek, since you're the Planning Commission, I'll give you a little sneak peek of one of our signs I attached to your report. These are one of the signs going in the downtown. And I know it's a little bit hard to read because they'll be much larger once they are solidified and printed. They'll be 2x3. But I thought it'd be kind of cool for you to just give you an example of one of the signs that are close to the final stages of hopefully being printed at some point in the next month or so and installed somewhere on South Main Street. So I guess that's it, just to kind of give you a heads up on that and a sneak peek. And unless there's questions, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
It's like nostalgia for me, because the reason I came to Bowling Green was I was transferred down for LaSalle's. So seeing the LaSalle's picture now, y'all understand I was 10 when I took that store. So don't let the 1970s confuse you.
I think there's a lot of nostalgia on a lot of the
Yeah.
signs. So there's 16 signs total. This is one that's in close stages of being finalized. So
This all is just one sign.
this is just one sign.
Okay, and do
Yep.
you know where on South Main it'll be?
So this one will likely be at the crosswalk where, if you were in front of Ben's, going to cross there towards Waddington or Juniper, it'll likely be right on that crosswalk. So the sign will be angled at the edge of the curb towards the street. And so when you're looking at it and reading the sign, you can look up and down at these buildings. So this is a great example of seeing, the former Frony building the original, basically picture of it in 1940, before it was really changed significantly, the architecture and the different businesses in it over the years, and then a picture of the 70s, and then a current picture. So it's just kind of to give you a different perspective of that building. And then, of course, the different opera houses that used to be right adjacent to the Hankey Building, which is where Beckett's is now. That building, basically, it's, doesn't exist anymore. It had a fire that destroyed the building. So now that's the flower shop, and I think there's a sign shop back there. But at least you can kind of glance up and imagine that it used to look like that first picture on top. And then, of course, the Hankey Building is still original, built in 1892. And that really has stayed pretty close to what it was built as, with some slight modifications. So, again, just kind of fun to
Great.
look at. And what will happen is that you'll pay closer attention to the buildings downtown once you start seeing these signs and look at those architectural features and the meanings behind them and people's names. And a lot of those folks had built, have built houses within Boomtown and also built these buildings. And so you'll see a lot of those different ties. And I think it's really important as a planning commission to know where, how the town was, where it came from and how it was built and who helped build it. And, you're continuing the next phase of planning for the community.
And
I
that's
think this
sometimes,
is such an exciting project. I'm really looking forward to seeing that done.
I was going to say that's sometimes a long wait right there. So it's a perfect spot. So you have something to do and you're not jaywalking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Benefit.
All righty, thank you, Heather. Is that it?
That's it for me.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order? And I move to adjourn. Judy
Second,
seconded it. Passed 6-0. See you in a month.
you set a record, Bob.
I don't know.